Okay, hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back into another episode of The Regular Guys, DFS show, NBA two-day, two-game slate that we've been focusing on the last few videos. Sorry I didn't get this one out a little bit earlier today, although Locke's a little later tonight. I live here in Nebraska, and the last few hours have been very, very interesting as we apparently now are in search of a new athletic director for the Husker athletic program. Our AD just abruptly, suddenly, quote unquote, retired. So anyway, yeah, been a lot of stuff to follow and keep in track here along those lines this morning. But anyway, let's get into this another, you know, two-day, two-game slate here that we've been playing here for about the last 3 days. And before we get started, guys, if you don't mind, if you'd hit the like button down below and then hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell, that way you get notified every time we put out new videos. Again, we'll be putting out a lot of content after basketball season starts, football, golf, that kind of stuff. So just hit that little notification bell. That way you know every time we put out a new video. And give me a follow on Twitter at SandoDFS. I like to tweet out some updates throughout the day on Twitter. Also, it gives you a chance to get entered into our 25 free DFS dollars if you retweet the post that has the link to this video in it. So yeah, like button, subscribe button, follow me on Twitter, and let's get into this here again today. I hope you guys have been able to take advantage of a couple of the plays that we liked over the last couple of days, because we've done really, really well, and we're sitting really pretty ahead of tonight's game against Milwaukee in Atlanta after some performances last night. We told you in our last video that some of our favorite plays, my favorite plays, definitely Ivica Zubac was one after we saw that he was apparently going to start getting minutes over Nicholas Batum, and he went off again last night. Paul George, I told you I believed very strongly would come back and have a big game after that loss. He did just that. And Reggie Jackson, another guy that in a do-or-die situation down 2-0 at home, I just thought George and Jackson were incredibly good plays. A little bad luck last night with Cam Payne going down after only 4 minutes. Had a couple lineups going in where I left him in even though Chris Paul was going to be the starter. It would have taken way too much to try and rearrange the lineups. And then he goes 4 minutes and he's out. But I think that's going to open up a couple of guys value-wise as we look to today and tomorrow's slate. So basically all I want to do today, guys, in this video is just kind of reaffirm to you some of the guys I like, and then we'll build a couple of quick lineups here before we get out of here. But some of my favorite plays now are going to continue to be Ivica Zubac. We all saw what happened last night. We kind of predicted it here on the Regular Guy show, that it looked like his minutes were trending up. Now, I don't think we could have predicted 40-some fantasy points, but at his price tag, and the thing is, the pricing for this slate was put out before last night's game. So we are still getting Ivica Zubac. In fact, his price went down. He was $4,200 yesterday to use him in the slates that end today, and he's $3,800. So I just don't know how we don't continue to go back to that, seeing how successful he's been the last two games. I don't think his price is going to be $3,800 tonight when they put out the pricing for the slate that starts tomorrow. But anyway, so really love Ivica Zubac. Another guy that I really like tonight is Chris Middleton. Middleton did not have a great game in game one that the Bucks ended up losing. The Bucks really need to win this game tonight, I think. So I'm looking for Chris Middleton to bounce back. His price came down significantly. I think he was damn near $9K in yesterday's lineups, if I remember right. But he came down to $8,300 after having not a very good game in the first game. I'm looking for Chris Middleton to bounce back tonight, hopefully in a big way, and get back to some of those points like he was having against the Clippers. Now, maybe the matchup against Atlanta is just tougher with Capella and Collins down there. So maybe Drew Holiday's going to be the other guy, the Robin to Giannis's Batman here for this series. But I'm willing to take one more shot that Middleton just had a bad game and that he bounced back in a big way. Paul George, going to continue to love Paul George, especially after the confidence he got after last night's game and the way he performed. Clippers kind of look like they might have Phoenix on the ropes here all of a sudden after being down 2-0. I don't think they want to, go down 3-1. Obviously, they don't want to. I think they feel like they're in a really good position. So I'm going to look for Paul George and Reggie Jackson once again to be two of my favorite plays for this upcoming slate. I'm going to go heavy on both of those guys again, as well as Zubac. And then I want to talk about a couple other guys. We took a flyer yesterday, and it worked out with Terrence Mann from the Clippers. He came back yesterday and he got more minutes, which was the key. And I kind of thought his minutes might trend back up after that game too, and comes back. He played 32 minutes last night after playing only 19 in the first game against Phoenix. Now, 23 fantasy points in 32 minutes, that's not great, but again, 32 minutes. We didn't see hardly any Rajon Rondo. In fact, he didn't register a fantasy point in last night's game. So at 4K, if Mann is going to get back to where he was in the Utah series, basically subbing in for Kawhi Leonard, I don't expect Kawhi Leonard back. So all of this is based on Kawhi Leonard not coming back, which I don't think he's going to come back the rest of the playoffs, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But getting Terrence Mann back to the 28 to 35 minute mark, where he was most of the time in the Utah series, is just a good thing. And at $4,000, I'm going to capitalize on that and hope that tomorrow night he gets similar minutes and hopefully has even a bigger game. Again, 23 fantasy points in 32 minutes isn't great, but the minutes are the key. Couple other guys I want to talk about now that because of what happened last night. Cam Payne gets hurt. I just love saying Cam Payne. It is kind of weird, though, isn't it? Cam Payne, and then after you say it, it's like, all right. Anyway, gets hurt 4 minutes into the game, can't come back. So I don't know if we're going to get injury reports throughout the day on him before lock tonight, but either way, it didn't really look good. And we see that Chris Paul is obviously going to be the starter. But I think it's going to open up some minutes, certainly for Cameron Johnson. He ended up pretty much playing for Cam Payne last night. 30 minutes he got, 21 fantasy points, not bad. He was kind of thrust into duty quickly. And I think that's going to continue. I think Cameron Johnson, if Payne can't go, is going to be the guy that absorbs most of the minutes. But another guy that we can consider at bare min, if you're trying to jam several studs in and you need a bare min guy, Torrey Craig just became a better play. Now, you guys know that I like Torrey Craig anyway, but I think if Cam Johnson has to take on a starter position or the main backup position with Cam Payne, actually he'd be a starter, either way, I think there's going to be more minutes available for Torrey Craig. He got 15 minutes last night, only 6 fantasy points. I don't think he's he's not a great option. He's not a sleeper or anything like that, like Zubac was that I told you, get as much exposure to him as you can. But he's certainly a minimum salary guy that I think might start getting closer to 20, 22 minutes if Payne stays out of the lineup. And then just a couple other guys I want to mention. Pat Beverly, he appears to be the guy that we're going to for the Clippers. Pat Beverly's tough sometimes to roster because he's not really an offensive player, but he's been a shutdown guy on Devin Booker the last 2 games. He seems to be in Booker's head. I don't see any reason that wouldn't continue, and I'm not sure why I clicked on Devin Booker when I was looking for Patrick Beverly. Yeah, 27 minutes last night again, 22 fantasy points. Again, he's more of a defensive guy, but, he could very easily, get 27, 28 minutes and score 12 points, get, 10 rebounds or a couple more assists, couple steals. So at 3,700 again, I think he's another value guy that we can be fairly confident in. And then we're going to look at Bobby Portis, who had a good game last game, still only got 15 minutes. But he had 22 fantasy points in 15 minutes. Now, here's my thought on Bobby Portis. I'm not afraid to play him because I think after his performance last night, Mike Budenholzer should realize that he needs to give more minutes to Bobby Portis and not as many to Brook Lopez, who hasn't been that good, frankly. Now, will Budenholzer do that? That is the question with him because he's a coach that just doesn't seem to make adjustments and likes to do the same thing over and over and over again. But he did give Portis a few more minutes last game. Portis took advantage. I just think it would be smart for him to give Portis more minutes because he's very productive when he gets the minutes. He can be more productive than Brook Lopez by a long shot. So that's just my opinion. I'm not afraid to use Portis, but we are kind of hoping, that maybe he'll get somewhere up between the 20 and 24 minute mark. That would be a big jump for him, but I think it can happen because he's been more productive than Brook Lopez. So those are the guys I'm focusing on in today's build. They were some of the same guys I focused on in yesterday's build, and we're sitting really pretty right now in some contests. As long as a couple guys just don't lay an egg tonight, I think we're going to be looking at some fairly significant profit from yesterday and today's lineup. So we can put a couple lineups in here, guys. I played with it a little bit this morning. I kind of made a Giannis lineup and a non-Giannis lineup. So Trae Young, I'm going to play him just because you know why. He's Trae Young in this first lineup. And then I'm going to put George and Middleton in it as well. Now, this is kind of like jamming three studs in, but I'm okay with that because I'm fairly confident in some of the value that has emerged over these last two games. I'm fairly confident that it's not just a put them in and hope type thing, that guys like Ivica Zubac, and we'll just go ahead and put him in the center position right now, are guys that are actually going to perform and not just, oh my God, I hope they get a few minutes and can somehow score a few points. So along those same lines, just out of pure minutes, I am not afraid to go back to PJ Tucker. And let me show you something about PJ Tucker. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a weird way to do it, but offensively, he's been getting the minutes. He gets over 30 minutes a game, every game, so we know that's happening. But check out these last few games. 26, and then a stinker with 9, and then a little bit of a stinker with 14, but then 28, then 15. So I'm hoping the 28 to 30 comes back in the every other game. I know that's a way that, but who knows? The point of the matter is PJ Tucker, although incredibly frustrating to roster at sometimes, he's getting the minutes in these series, and that's what we look for, certainly for guys that cost $3,500 in salary. It'd be different if PJ Tucker was $5,000. I'd avoid him like the plague. He's just not productive enough to pay off that price. But at $3,500, 5x is 16 points. And anything over 18 is you're certainly getting your money back. So I don't have any problem putting PJ Tucker in there. If you want to look elsewhere and maybe put a Portis or something in here, that's up to you. And again, so I'm not afraid at all to go back here at guard to Terrence Mann at $4,000. Again, I think his minutes are going to get back to what they were in the previous series, as we saw last night. And then I finished it off with a guy that we talked about here. Cam Johnson. He's going to get minutes if Payne is not able to play tomorrow night, or if he's limited in any way. Cam Johnson's going to be the guy that gets the majority of his minutes. And so I left enough room here for my utility position to get Reggie Jackson in as well. Again, Jackson and George are just two of my favorite plays. I think they're going to continue to produce as the Clippers gain more confidence. And they're just the two guys that we can go to, that we can count on to do most of the scoring if the Clippers are going to be successful. And then the Giannis lineup I built, guys, it's fairly similar. And you can play with this throughout the day. I'll play with it. I'll probably put 3 lineups in again like I normally do. John Collins is definitely a guy I want to have in one of my lineups today, so that'll probably be in my 3rd lineup. I didn't get him in here. I went ahead and jammed in Giannis, and I did put Zubac in the center here. I'm going to give Jrue Holiday another chance. And we're kind of jamming 3 studs in here. So, if you want to just go 2 and go a little more mid-range with a guy like, John Collins, maybe a DeAndre Ayton, something like that. But I want to give Holiday a chance to go back-to-back big nights. He had a big night in the first game. Atlanta struggles more to play defense against guards than they do down low. So I think there's a very real possibility that Jrue Holiday could have back-to-back big nights, and maybe, again, he becomes the number 2 guy in this series instead of Chris Middleton, just because Atlanta plays better defense down low than they do outside in the guard position. And then I'm going to put Paul George back again in this lineup. I just think he's going to continue to be successful. And again, I'm going back again. This is a really similar lineup, guys. Except I want to obviously have exposure to Giannis in at least one of my lineups. And then I went to Pat Beverly here in this guard position. We went to Portis. Again, I said I'm not afraid to play Portis. We have 4 Milwaukee in this, but I'm okay with that. They need a big win tonight. And then I left room. I haven't played Clint Capella hardly at all in this playoffs. I'm going to go ahead and try Clint Capella again tonight. He had a big game finally in game 1. I think he had 19 rebounds. 19 rebounds, 12 points, 44 fantasy points. But as you see, we also have room here. Another guy that I've been on. A lot of guys have been, kind of shying away from him. But John Collins, I don't mind in this position either. Again, I'm going to have a lineup at some point that gets to John Collins. So those are just early builds on today's lineups, guys. Play with it how you want. I really just wanted to come on in the video and make sure I mentioned to you some of the guys, mainly the value guys, and then Chris Middleton, that I'm willing to take some chances on tonight. So that'll do it for this video, guys. I appreciate you watching. Again, before you get out of here, if you please, would hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and then give me a follow on Twitter at SandoDFS. So hopefully things are sitting good for you as well as we go into tonight's game, and let's start off another one in a really good position. So appreciate you guys watching. Good luck to all of us tonight, and we will talk to you again this weekend.